How's it going, everybody? This is episode 49 and one that I've been like kind of dreaming about for a long time. You know.
Oh, they make us the number, but no. I just.
Oh yeah.
Like, why 49? What's so significant about that?
You're not down with 49. I mean, this is a band that, like, I know I got you into. I think right it was one of the groups that I showed you, and like we immediately resonated on like you or to you and that
they speak our language, man.
They do, and they really do, and that's kind of the simplest way to put it. Is that this band kind of just spoke to like how I wanted to write music, like the whole soundscaping thing, and just a
how grand they can sound, and
tremendously large band.
Goddamn, yeah, they're an amazing band. They put on a fucking amazing show at Numbers. Open up for RX Bandits. Yeah,
it was a Peg Star show. Yep. Shout out to Peg Star, always helping out, always being beautiful. RX Bandits was great. We saw a lot of homies there. But specifically, we went there, of course, to see them. But Chris Wee is a guy that I admire a lot, just like as a musician. Like when I first started playing drums, I was listening to a lot of them. So just naturally, I was trying to not necessarily mimic him, but I was just listening to a lot of it. So that comes out. I would even try to play the parts of the songs, and even now, just like he's. I don't know if his drumming now translates to me as much because he's open-handed too. Like he can play open-handed, which is something I'm not familiar. But at least the parts do the grand. Right. Oh Jesus Christ! Our cats are just freaking out. God.
Anyway,
is that? I think Emily is emerging to help this out, but we're trying to assimilate cats, ladies and gentlemen. It's not working. If you don't know, cats don't live together well at first. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they just immediately like each other.
But some cats are different from each other already. True.
He's fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
She's a little just not. It's getting better. It's progress.
I don't even think he understands the aggression coming from her.
He's just like, what the fuck, man? But she's like, I'm old. Get your ass away from me.
She's always been that way. Yeah. She's never really.
Cats are different. Anyway.
Chris Wheaton. Yeah, his drumming. I'm not gonna say it's easy to replicate at all or anything like that, but it was very intuitive. And me being an open hand drummer, I vibe very well with
what he's doing, the parts. Yeah. He's a buddy too. He's a really nice guy. We chat all the time, man. Like on Facebook, we're just on like Facebook chatting about MMA. MMA news comes up. He's a huge MMA fan.
Speaking of which, did you see Uriah Faber's going to retire after his next fight?
Man, I did, man. That really kind of bummed me out. I was like, man, all right, I get it. Like, how many, I don't know how many times you're going to go for the title. Yeah. But it's a bummer. Uriah Faber like paved the way for the lighter weight classes.
That guy is no doubt a Hall of Famer and a legend.
Even top 10 lightweight, like a lightweight.
Even if he never was able to pull off getting a UFC title, like there's no way that guy's not going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I believe he was the bantamweight WEC champion, and then went up to featherweight, and. He was fucking tremendous and still is. And he still seems like he's got a lot of fight in him. But whenever a fighter says they retire, you got to respect that because that's like the highest stake sports ever. And, and he seems like the kind of guy that would be really conscious of when to stop, And so, man, if this really is his last fight, which he's saying it is, man, just hope he goes out on a win. The fight's in Sacramento, which is going to be fucking amazing.
No better way. It's a good matchup, too. Brad Pickett, guys don't joke either.
God damn, Brad One Punch Pickett. It's probably going to be his last fight, too, to be honest. I'm thinking about it. I mean, really, he's been around for a long time. These are guys, this is a fight that could have easily happened, like, in WC. I think did it not? Like, I feel like it should have. WC, if no one knows, WC just has almost as an illustrious career as the UFC. Well, no, not really. But, I mean, just the guys that were there are so important now that there were storylines back then that people have kind of forgotten about. Like there were rivalries and shit, like the Jose Aldo and Uriah, they had a really nasty rivalry.
And Uriah feud started.
Yeah, that started there and went all the way into the UFC. I mean, cats like Korean Zombie, Donald Cerrone, like all came. They all came. Anthony Pettis. Joe Lozon didn't come from.
I thought that's where he had kicked. Oh no, that must have been a UFC.
No, yeah. He started. I think he did Ultimate Fighter. He came in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Either way, anybody that's an MMA fan is like instantly my best friend. So when we met Chris at the end of a show about our last time they came, it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we had MMA shirts on. He was like, "Did you guys go to the fight?" Because it was in the same weekend as UFC 166, and we were like,
"Hell yeah, we did."
Yeah, we did.
It was an awesome weekend.
And then like any pedestal that he's on as a drummer is instantly removed because now he's an MMA fan, and we're just like, "Oh yeah, fucking talking fights." So we've just kept up ever since talking about fights. So I was really excited to sit down and like talk music, talk fights. It was in the green room of Numbers, which I've never been in, which is the weirdest room in the world. It's so small and old. And there were like names of bands written on the wall, and I'm wondering, like, did the bands write these names? Like, it's very possible. I don't know, man. Either way, Chris is a great guy. Shout out to him, and shout out to Andrew Forsman, who I know is listening right now. Yeah. I know he is.
We love you, dude.
We love you, man, because I know he's listening. Because every time we have a good drummer on, he's like, "Oh, I learned that one," so I know it's him. He's probably laughing right now. Let's listen to this. All right, guys, do your part. Dead Dialect. Listen to And So I Watch You From Afar. Who are one of my favorite bands of all time. If you
album, pick any album, and you won't go wrong.
If you're just someone who, pick any record. There's no place to go wrong. Each one is better than the last and the one before it, which makes no sense. But come on, if you're listening to this, if you haven't heard of them, like, please just listen to them. For me, do your part. Dead Dialect. Like, subscribe. That shit is so important. We could talk days about it. But we won't, because this is an important podcast. And
we want you to get at it.
We want you to go ahead and listen to it. All right, guys, we're out of here. We love you. Here's our good 35 fucking 40 minutes with Mr. Chris Wee from And So I Watch You From Afar. All right, everybody. Oh, that's very loud. There we go. I'm such a loud bitch. I don't even know sometimes. We are sitting in the green room. I guess this is a green room. This is very dressing room-esque of numbers. And I've never been in here before.
Yeah, me either.
Never been in this room before.
As many times as I've been here over the years, like growing up, I came to shows. But
I was telling you, I used to come here when I was like 18 for New Year's to just like try to dance with my girlfriend at the time. And it's a surreal thing to be here and to watch you guys. Before we get to that, our guest for today, which we've talked about on every past episode we've had for the last 5 episodes since I talked to you last, is Mr. Chris Wee from And So I Watch From Afar. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, yeah.
Dude,
this is cool that to have you on, because it's almost in keeping with it's almost a tradition now that we have the drummers of some of like our all-time favorite bands or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, in addition, we've had of course Andrew Forsman, John Clardy, Stella Mosgawa from Warpaint. You are probably the last guy on my list next to John Theodore that I got to cross out in terms of drummers and having on. So
glad we could make it happen.
Absolutely, dude. And before we get started, I just got to do a little bit. I got to just suck your dick just a little bit. You guys and your band, the music you guys have made it's been so pivotal to me and my life and my development as not only a person but a musician. I first got into you guys after the first record. It was the first album. And I thought, man, this is like the loudest, most anthemic, heavy but groovy. And as a drummer, it just speaks. It spoke to me. Everything spoke to me. And y'all's music, that album, and then every album after that, it just became the soundtrack of my life.
Cool.
Every time a record would come out, it was all I would listen to was you guys. You guys were all I would talk about. I just think y'all are a tremendous band. It takes a lot to put as much power and balls into music as you guys do, and you guys seem to do it fairly effortlessly. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but just to start this off, if I have to fanboy, I mean, I just want to thank you for all that you guys have done for me personally, because I've had some really nasty, gnarly moments in my life, and all I've been left with is the music I listen to. And you guys are always right there at the top 5 of the bands that I'm listening to and going to that are my go-to feel-good, pick-me-up, bands.
That's awesome. Well, glad we can do that for you.
You guys are tremendous, man. So there's a lot that I want to talk about. I know you just played a show. You're probably tired. I don't want to keep you for too long.
Oh, it's all good.
These mics are kind of shitty. Could you kind of
a bit closer?
Perfect. So, am I?
Well, no, I mean, I don't have like a grand, like heartfelt whatever, but you guys are one of my favorite bands also, and
I wanted to give you that opportunity, because we talk
for
about,
sure.
It's just a little unique for us. We have a lot of
people, and I'm glad you got that out too, because I mean, I know how much this band means to you too, cause, and you got me into them a couple years ago, and ever since then I've never heard a band so cohesive and naturally, like, the words that I think of are like power, like raw power, as much technique as you bring into it. There's so much, like, I just saw you guys play right now, and something I noticed is like, man, like you guys know how to bring that energy that you have live into like to produce work, and
Right.
I don't know.
It's a hard thing to do.
It's really hard.
So yeah, if we got to wrap this little thing that we just did up in a little ball, just we love you guys. That's it. Always have, and since we've started doing this, talking to you and to you guys and you specifically has been something we've wanted to do. So thanks, man. Thanks for being a friendly motherfucker as well. Just to start off, man, how was the show? How'd you feel about it?
The show was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you were saying, like the stage was there was a bit of distance between
It's
the
a little
crowd,
weird, yeah,
because of that extra step and things.
but you made it work.
Yeah.
You made it work. I love the new shit, man. I love the new. I know you guys have been busy writing. How's that been going? Like, what step are you at in that?
So the writing sort of began November of last year, just very gradually into Christmas and New Year, and then we always try and write and get everything kind of boxed off and then recorded like pretty quickly. But we found that we didn't want to rush it this time. And we didn't feel the pressure to do the every 2 years album release sort of thing. So basically we've just been letting it happen and like
just kind of taking your time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been great. Like, I mean, it's obviously we would prefer if we would be able to knock out all the stuff super quick and then get it recorded and then get back on the road with stuff.
You got to work at your own pace though, for sure.
Yeah, I think like we're much more content with just finding the stuff that works, and not trying to force the stuff too much, and what's been a result is these like little sparks of like awesome tunes coming,
So I want to go back to some of these earlier works that you guys have done. I feel like every record is very different. They all feel different. I mean, obviously, if you were to put on a new album by you guys, I would absolutely be able to tell it was you in an instant. But you guys are still able to sound different on each album and change the feel.
Yeah.
So starting with the first one, how would you guys say that you were as a band then or as people then compared to now? And how are you different? What went into that record? Were you, I don't want to say the word juvenile necessarily, but I know you guys were younger.
Oh yeah.
So how was that first record like?
Well, the first record was kind of like a culmination of like loads of different tunes that had been road tested countless times.
Right.
And like there was bits from one period of writing and another period of writing, and then it kind of we were able to like kind of gel it all together when we got into record.
Were you always? I know you've had at least one lineup change. But were these songs kind of floating around between the three of you guys, or were they going between other folks or other bands?
Well, the first two albums were written with Tony, the old guitarist.
Yeah.
And the first album, as I was saying, it was like a culmination of all the earliest stuff from different periods, and they were all so well road tested, and then because of that, then that's why it gelled so well. But they weren't necessarily all written at the same time,
Right.
And yeah, I guess the first album we just started touring. We had an EP out, two EPs, and then when it came around to record that, we'd been on the road a little bit, but we were still very much like I'd never played a click track. And like I played Set Guitars to Kill on a click track, and it was like so alien to me, You're
just bouncing the whole time.
Yeah. And then the rest of that first album was totally live recorded, like live tracked.
It totally feels that way though. Yeah. That's a raw record, man. That first album feels especially. It feels live. It feels like I'm seeing you guys, and then the jump to Gangs. It felt like such a huge jump. Maybe in terms of production, like I felt you guys maybe I don't know, there was a certain honing that went into like, okay, maybe we found the way that we sound good this way, our guitars sound better this way, or was that you just kind of getting a little more comfortable into everything as a band?
I think we kind of zoned in a lot more for Gangs, because between the first record and Gangs we were on the road like a shit ton, so we were much better. We'd much more well versed, with playing
tighter,
in general.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, we got that first album under the belts, got all the sort of all the cobwebs away and like learning how the recording
Kind of
process works.
Purge yourself
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
So the second album was like, okay, we know how to do this sort of stuff, and then there's click tracks going, and I'm
Right.
comfortable doing that, and then just
Maybe kind of like, oh shit, now we're a real band.
Yeah.
Like that was the record for me, man.
Yeah, those kind of changes that I ever notice when people come out with new work, I usually notice first in the drums. So, especially like when Airs came out, I noticed that it's hard to describe like drums. Like they sound a little more denser or heavier. Basically, my question is, how much of yourself do you put into the writing process? Like I know you probably have a guy mixing and engineering and everything, but as a drummer, like, are you like kind of finicky about like how your drums sound on each record, or is there a specific sound?
in terms of sounds on it?
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is we've worked with Rocky O'Reilly, who's done all the albums, all 4.
Uh-huh.
So there's a great rapport there, and
Right.
we can, it's nice. It's not like you're showing up to a studio and you've never met the producer before.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So, like, it's like a two-way street. I can say I want stuff to sound like this,
Yeah.
or he can be like, you need to do that. He's not shy to go, I think you should try and do this.
So it's a
different way.
collaboration.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's really nice that way. We're in Belfast at home, and
Uh-huh.
there is that, like, you can relax, and we did that. We did Airs drums in our rehearsal room. That's where it was tracked.
Yeah.
Well, all but Wasps, I think, was done in the rehearsal room, and then Wasps was done in the Mandela Hall, which is where we do our big album lunches. So that was
Okay.
kind of,
I see.
that had a nice sort
Why
of vibe to
Why
it.
did you do it there?
Just because the room, just to get the acoustics,
For that
you know,
particular
to
song?
catch, yeah.
That's
just-
funny because that's totally noticeable. Like in that song is especially like
Yeah, because it just needed to be as thick and like as
thick, full
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. How long have you been playing drums, man?
So I'm 32 now. I started drumming when I was 13, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was actually Rory was a drummer to begin with. So me and him have been friends since we were like 4 or 5 years old.
What? I didn't know that.
Really? Yeah.
So
That's
whenever
I thought it
adorable.
might have been a high school thing or something.
when we were about 12, 13, he had a drum kit.
Yeah.
And I would always love to go around and play on it, And then he was starting to learn bass guitar.
Damn. So you guys are childhood friends.
Oh yeah.
How? God, that's got to be
Yeah.
amazing to be touring the world with your childhood friend. You probably.
It's funny.
That's
So
hilarious.
sometimes we'll be like in the van, like late at night driving. It's like, this is fucking insane. It's like,
really?
like, how did this come about? Or
Right.
it's ridiculous that we're allowed to do this.
No,
Not we're allowed, but
crazy.
For
I
sure.
was stumbled upon it.
On a smaller level, I totally relate with Julian. I mean, this guy went to high school together, and like, I never thought that one day we would be trying to pursue something,
Yeah.
if anything. So it's not anything like touring the world, but I wasn't aware of that dynamic. That's amazing.
But I'm sure you'll sort of feel that same way of, whenever you've got a really good friendship, like a basis of a good friendship,
Right.
then you can go off and do loads of stuff and roll with punches and
For
like,
sure.
and
Yeah.
take on stuff, and it's a
Well, there's
more
like a
solid
level
unit.
of trust that you don't necessarily have to worry about.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's there. Yeah. You can,
It's done.
dependable and stuff. Yeah.
It's accepted. It's been there for that long.
Yeah, totally.
Because our bands are like relationships. It's like being in a
Absolutely.
relationship with
Yeah.
someone. So if you don't have that trust, but to have something that lasts that long, god damn. So when you started playing, did you just start playing a kit? Did you do like drumline kind of stuff, or where was your place?
Well, it was quite organic. Rory was at that time. He was sort of learning bass guitar. I loved going around and bashing his drum kit.
Yeah.
And then my brother, I'd actually started on guitar and kind of hadn't enjoyed it. I had no patience for it. And then I
Yeah.
found drums and I was like, yeah, this makes
This is
sense.
where it's
more
at.
my
Yeah,
jam.
I can make a load of noise.
Totally
celebrate that.
So my brother he's way more like studious. So he was like, banging it on the guitar.
Yeah.
So then the three of us started a band when we were about, I would have been about 13. Rory would have been 14. My brother was 16.
I love it.
And we did some shows and recorded some stuff.
I just said fuck
Yeah.
it.
It was like the late 90s. That would have been like, around the Fur, Deftones was coming out,
Right.
around
Oh,
that sort of
nice.
time. And we were like listening to.
Some good new metal back then. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all like Rory grew up with Cream and King Crimson, Zeppelin, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
my brother and I would have listened to loads of Queen and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Dude,
basically what our
got-
parents listen to, you know.
I don't really know anything about like the music scene in Ireland or
Yeah, I wanted to
how
ask about
that
that.
is. I mean, what was it like? Was there a music scene where you? Did you grow up in Belfast or?
No, we grew up on the north coast.
Okay,
You've heard of Bushmills whiskey? Have you?
I think
The Irish whiskey. It's from the north coast. So we're
he's
from,
like, for real. You have a fucking.
we're from that little town and that sort
Okay.
of surrounding area, which is like a coastal sort of area of
Okay.
the very north of Ireland, and yeah, we didn't have like there was a very very small scene in that seaside town, and there were gigs happening, you know, on Friday nights and
Were these like punk shows, metal shows? Like what kind
like
of?
just a big mix, just whatever was going on, kind
okay.
of heavier stuff. So we played a couple of like not even real gigs, and then we managed to get into this place called Kelly's, which did Friday night shows, and we were like the opener band for this band called Pepperbook, and Pepperbook were it was actually Johnny from the band and Tony, who used to be in the band. That was their band, and they were like the big band of our area. So we were like, oh my god, you know, bow at the altar of these guys, you know, because they were like, you know, everyone knew who they were.
Right.
So, you know, and they were like older dudes, and we were just these kids that didn't know what was going on, you know, like
a big
and
show.
We were in a place, and you know, we weren't
yep.
meant to be there. We're like, you know, not allowed to drink or anything.
Maybe you
that
got
sort of
snuck a beer and you're like, holy
Exactly.
shit! Oh my god!
And then you go to school on the Monday, and you're like, yeah, I was at that show.
Everyone's like, oh shit, they get
hilarious.
So that was how
Yeah.
we met those guys.
Okay.
And it took another, like there was another band which we did with Tony, called Zombies Safari Park, and
Ooh.
and after that kind of fizzled out, then we sort of met Johnny organically, and then the four of us
Nice.
hooked up, and it's just started from there.
Right.
Well, when y'all created and so I watch you from afar, how serious were y'all? I mean, were y'all just kind of getting together to jam, or were y'all gonna
Well,
really
and
go hard?
we'd been kind of listening to, like, we'd all been hanging out a bit and, you know, drinking beers,
Uh-huh.
and then we'd been listening to loads of Explosions in the Sky and Pelican, those sort of bands, ISIS, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of steering in that direction at that point, finding all this music
Yeah.
we'd never heard before, and we were like, let's start jamming. This is all
Okay.
really cool. Let's do our version of that, you know.
Yeah.
That's
And
hilarious.
as soon as the four of us started jamming, it was apparent, like right from the get go, was like, I think we're onto something, you know, very very quickly. We thought, yeah, let's keep this going.
Is that like a conscious thing to realize, like, okay, like, is there a part of you that stops and like, let me trust myself on this, you know, like, let me, I feel good about this, or were you hesitant? And I'm only asking because I feel like there's a lot of musicians, especially in Houston right now. We've got like a budding music scene,
Yeah.
a lot of cats that are like on the edge of making it or not, and I don't know if a lot of them really know how to think about making music. If it's like we're gonna do this, I know what I'm doing, or if it's like we're just gonna do our thing. So how much of you was invested in the idea of making this your life when you started it?
I don't think we had that from the get-go. It was
Right.
more just like we really enjoyed doing it, and then we started writing a load of songs. Like there was like very very quickly we had like about 40 minutes worth of music, you know, these big ridiculous long
These builds, right?
build things, yeah, like
You said explosions, and I
Yeah.
thought
That's what I was saying.
I
It's
thought
kinda
builds.
We actually just saw them not too long ago, like a month or so ago. And
Right.
I remember in the middle of it, you know how like grand they sound or whatever. But
They swell. They know
that's
how
what
to
I'm saying. They
swell.
swell. But it's funny when you said that. I was like, that made total sense. Like I even kind of like had a and so I watch you from afar vibe.
Kinda
when I heard
connected
that.
it,
Yeah, you
for
guys
sure.
have like an element in your music where you can get really big and grand.
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah,
was that an idea from the beginning? Like, we're going to make primarily instrumental, kind of moving, you know, or was there a reason to stray away from the traditional, like,
Yeah.
let's have a vocalist and, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus?
I think that was whenever we started the band. That was the thing. It was like let's do a band. Let's do an instrumental band like these guys were listening to at the minute. But then we were coming in with all the experience of playing in, you know, punk bands and
Right.
just that sort of thing, and you know, having listened to like Relationship with Command, you know, at the drive-in.
Tremendous.
So
record, yeah.
coming from that, you know, and like listening to loads of heavier stuff, and you know, like at the drive-in, like that dynamic of like, you know, fucking punch you in the face with stuff. So there was that mixed together with this new thing that we'd found through Explosions and Pelican,
Right.
and that, you know, the sort of more soundscapey stuff. And that's where the older sort of experience of the, you know, of the heavier bands, that's what. So we kind of wanted to like mesh those together.
No, I
It was
totally,
like,
yeah,
let's
sure.
do this type of sort of atmospheric music, but with a fucking, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I totally get
with like a load of balls behind it, basically.
for sure.
You know,
It's like it's the perfect combination of the anthemic, hard quality of punk music, but the beautiful soundscaping
Yeah,
building of, you know, an instrumental band. It's
Yeah.
like the meeting of the two. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be rude and go pee right now in
Yeah.
this weird restroom because I drank too much beer.
Okay.
I'll just be honest. So you're gonna figure it out, Julian.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. So cool. What kit were you drumming on earlier? You were saying that, you know.
this drum kit is actually Chris Collis from
Okay.
TTNG,
Okay.
who's on Sergeant House as well. So my drum kit got lost in the post.
I see. That's what happened. that sucks, man.
And luckily, yeah, Chris was so kind of let me take it.
So I want a little bit. How did you guys get hooked up with Kathy from Sergeant House? How did that whole process come? You know, was it something? Did y'all need a base over here in the United States when y'all finally started?
Well, it was actually from way like years and years ago, like right
Okay.
back whenever Sergeant House began. We kind of stumbled on the roster and like loved
Right.
a load of bands on there, and we actually played with Russian Circles like
I
way
see.
back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
day.
yeah, I see.
So there was a connection there like quite early on.
Cool.
And you know, we were sending her stuff over the years, being like, "Oh, what do you think? You know, do you?"
Yeah.
And you know, I think she definitely saw that we weren't quite the developed band that
Uh-huh.
you know that she was going to be working with, and then you know, things just slotted into place. By the time
Yeah.
All Hail Bright Futures rolled around, like we were accomplished enough, and she was like, "That's something that she was looking for."
Awesome.
And yeah, we were able to make it happen.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a perfect match. It's funny because like a lot of favorite bands that we're talking about that we've had the drummers on
Right.
from, they're all Sergeant House bands, or
Yeah.
a lot of them are anyway. I know Fall Troy's not, but
Well, I feel like we're definitely part of that generation that started, like, if not only built that kind of music, but
Right.
like stuck with it, man. I mean, if you look at cats like John Clardy or, you know, even like, Andrew, you know, we're talking about Andrew, like these are guys who like, drummers like that weren't really around, you know, for a while, or maybe they were like jazz drummers that played similar to them.
yeah.
But for me, I'm coming from a drumming perspective. Like, there's something about the Sergeant House like family of drummers that I was just like, dude,
Yeah,
every
so-
single one of
Yeah.
these guys is just like so stacked. But you play open-handed.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know how to do. That's all you.
Yeah,
And I think I tried to sell you on that. I was like, look, I think you're going to understand these drums because this guy's open-handed and he plays open-handed and I don't. So I feel like they translate a little more to you.
Yeah, and I've always had a hard time figuring out how to like set up my kit too because I mean, being open-handed, I also, not only am I open-handed, but I have like a weird instinct to kind of like switch over. Like I could play cross-handed a little bit, or it feels more natural to like kind of hold down like a hi-hat. But with, you know,
Yeah,
my right hand.
I'm quite similar with that.
Yeah.
My right hand is way stronger in general.
Yeah, I'm more heavy-handed on my right hand.
But you've got a crash ride on the left.
That's what I
right?
was gonna say. You have it right sitting right over your hi-hat, and that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I don't just do that.
So what's your setup though? Because I'll get nerdy. You've got a crash ride, and then is it another crash ride?
It's basically a regular rock setup, but the ride is on the left instead of the right.
But you've got a crash here on the right as well, too, right? No?
I've got two crashes in front of me, and then
your
my
ride's on
ride
the
is
left.
on my left. Yeah.
Oh man.
Cool.
Ooh, that's so weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
The only guy I've ever seen is the new guy from Faith No More. That's the only time I've ever seen it in sort of mainstream.
I see. Well,
We're a rare breed, I feel.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Except for Chris from.
Uh-oh.
I'm blanking. You interviewed them.
What?
Oh, Silver
Chris
Sun Pickups.
Guanlau from Silver
Sun
Sun Pickups.
Pickups.
He's
Yeah,
an open-hand drummer.
Yeah, he's open hand drummer, and he has a unique setup
Yeah.
too, and he has like this giant,
For sure.
crash, like sitting way up high, where he'll like have to reach up and you know
The
hit
John
that.
Steinert.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I gotta talk about MMA with you a little bit.
Okay.
Because I know you're the first time we talked, you guys played, and that was the same weekend of UFC 166. and I wore my Sagano shirt, and you were like, "Yo, did you go to the fight?" And I was like, "Yes, we did go to the fight."
I was so jealous. I was like, "You've got that on your doorstep."
And that's when I realized you're an MMA fan. And I feel like MMA is the kind of thing where when you find out someone's a fan, you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
And
it's
not
like
only
a
that-
totally different like. It's quite mainstream, but it's still quite a subculture.
Oh,
whenever
yeah.
you're like, talking to people, because
Yeah,
some
you-
people are you either like are totally into it or you have absolutely no
Right.
idea.
Yeah, right.
Either way, if somebody watches MMA, like I'm it's an instant
They're my
fan
best
right
friend.
there.
They're
Yeah,
like
right there.
my new friend. I'm like, "Oh, well, shit."
Yeah, because
And,
we're just always back
yeah.
and forth.
Oh,
chatting
wait, I'm like,
about it.
I'll message you. I'm like, "Yo, did you hear this shit?" So I want to
you-
bring a
yeah.
couple bullet points because this has been a crazy year for mixed
Yeah.
martial arts. We talked about Ronda a lot.
Yeah.
Ronda's got her new fight announced against Amanda Nunes. It's her first fight back.
I think that she's probably gonna. I think she's not gonna stand. I think she's gonna try and just take it to the ground again and just finish it quickly.
Maybe she learned her lesson.
I think she
Yeah.
definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah.
My only thing about that is that I think her loss to Holly Holm kind of wrote. Holly kind of wrote the handbook on how to beat Ronda Rousey using footwork
That's
and
true.
circling out.
Yeah.
So
And
out of
distance and stuff,
anybody
For sure,
can
that's
kind of look
really
at that
true.
fight and take some notes. And you also train too, right? Or you train Brazilian
yeah, BJJ, yeah.
At a Gracie bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's your training going? I know you for a while. You said you took a break.
Yeah,
right?
I tore my rotator cuff last year.
Oh, gnarly.
I was rolling with this big dude, Nogi, and I just whatever way he swept me, I put my hand down onto the mat, and I just the whole.
just kind of pulled it
Yeah.
I
out.
wish you could see it on, but it's just on mic. But
Yeah,
it
you hyper. Yeah,
I heard this like rip, and I couldn't lift my hand above my waist. Basically,
so you can play drums.
Fuck, I'm a drummer.
So that really scared the shit out of me, because I'm a touring musician. I
Right.
need to like be sensible, and I had to go in and
Yeah.
talk to my instructor, and I was like, look, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna have to take some time off and like cancel my membership because I just cannot go in
yeah.
and risk it.
It must have hurt, right?
It was horrible because
Yeah.
I was going 4 times a week.
Yeah. Oh, you
and-
were serious. You were
yeah,
going hard.
and I was like, it was just part and parcel of my week, and suddenly I just had to cut it loose.
What got you into BJJ? When did
Yeah.
you start doing that?
I started traditional jiu-jitsu years ago whenever I was a kid, and then I always loved the ground stuff.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't so much on the throws and locks.
Okay.
And it was all very, it wasn't very practical. It was all all theoretical sort of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
It was like a Japanese
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing. Okay.
So I always at the end of there'd be like 5 minutes at the end of every session. There would be like, okay, it's ground fighting now, and I'd love that. I looked forward to that, but I didn't know about BJJ,
yeah.
until years and years afterwards, and then I actually started another traditional class, like about 4 or 5 years ago, and there was a guy who was there that also did BJJ, and he was like, oh, if you like this, the grappling, you should come down to Gracie Baja.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went down one class and I was like, see you later.
So you got into all this before MMA, before getting into mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly known about UFC and
Sure.
that sort of thing, but yeah, so I did like taekwondo and stuff years ago, and traditional jiu-jitsu. So I always loved that. I love the discipline with it, all that, and like the camaraderie you get with fucking,
Yeah.
putting an arm lock on somebody, but then like
Yeah.
hanging out afterwards.
Yeah.
Just love that.
God, I can't. I don't even like train regularly, but every time that like we've rolled or like I've tried to learn something or learn from a friend that does know something, I know it's something I'd get like get addicted to.
Yeah, I remember you saying the other day when we were chatting. I think it's one of those things. I think BJJ, like head and shoulders above any other martial art, has that. It's like you have to like. There's just zero ego, and
It's so intimate,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and like everybody who's able to like cast off the ego and stick with it. Such a good character trait
true,
to have,
right.
And pretty much everybody you encounter in BJJ
Right.
for that reason is super nice and so willing to like impart the knowledge and be like, oh yeah, the reason why I got you in that choke because of this,
Yeah.
and I'll show you exactly how I did it. So
And now
that
you know exactly.
Yeah, so if somebody tries, that next time, and so there's no like cards against your chest and
Right.
not let
Sure,
not,
yeah.
like being secretive about your own stuff. it's like it's just so open.
Yeah, it's probably rare
Yeah.
to see that. I mean, I
Especially
guess
when
you
it's
don't-
combat, right? Because
Yeah.
the idea is like, I'm the better guy,
Right.
I'm the
Yeah.
bigger guy, I'm the stronger guy. But
Yeah.
when the idea is like, no, we're trying to better each other,
Yeah.
how far can you really
Yeah.
go?
And like, yeah, there's only so much I can benefit from, choking you 10
Yeah.
times in a row.
That's true.
Just there's
Right.
other than my own gratification.
Right, right.
But BJJ sort of cancels that out.
Did like Conor McGregor getting big and kind of rising up do anything to the scene over there, like BJJ scene, MMA scene in the country?
I think definitely, I think we would have seen more and more kids getting into it, definitely.
Because he's fucking
Yeah.
huge here.
Yeah.
And
I
I
wanted
can't
to
even
ask-
remember how big I can't even imagine, rather, how big he is there. Because he's the biggest star in the
Right,
UFC
right, right.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he would just open up a market and for MMA in Ireland, or just
Right.
wide open.
So how much of if any, how much of an impact did that make, or did you notice or anything like that?
Well, I think whenever I started, there was definitely, there's definitely guys that were starting because they liked UFC.
Sure.
And it was an element of it, and they knew about Hoist Gracie and that sort
Right.
of thing.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would have been
There's
Conor
that.
McGregor. Right.
Yeah.
So that-
Yeah.
So there was that until that point, and then Conor McGregor started, and then you see these dudes walking around town with their top
They're
knots
fucking-
and,
yeah.
and the big beards.
The beard, yeah.
So it's more of a cultural impact rather than it's just like impacting the MMA
Yeah.
scene.
I think it was like
Yeah,
overall, it's
overall,
just
yeah.
like he is so cool. He's
Holy
like
shit.
doesn't give a fuck.
He's
Yeah.
so cool.
And is there like a big deal there when he's like fighting? Like
gotta be.
Yeah.
Like on the day of, is it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been to Dublin yet for
Uh-huh.
UFC, but I mean, it's.
I've seen
rumored to be just
videos.
ridiculous.
I've seen videos of like streets, like just like people outside bars, like not even in the bars, but outside like pubs.
Yeah.
And he like knocked out Jose, and people just fucking threw their
Yeah.
beers in the air, and it was just like
Yeah.
it was insane.
But he's the perfect mix of he's got the belief and he's got the talent to back it
yeah,
up,
yeah.
but then he's got all the showbiz.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's something weird about that guy, right? Because you're like, that guy's like a movie.
Uh-huh.
Like he's almost too good to be true. He seems like a fictional character.
Even when he lost and came back and won, like even that's like, how do you write that shit? Like,
How do you still seem badass?
Yeah.
After that,
Yeah.
it's tremendous. What's next for you guys, man? I know you guys are recording. I know this tour is happening. What's on like the to-do list when you guys get back?
So we get back sort of midway through November. We're gonna probably consolidate all the album ideas and see whether there's any more writing to be done.
Right.
Rory's like noodling away every day, and we might have a couple more tunes up our sleeve,
uh-huh.
and then probably early 2017 we'll go into the studio.
Nice, press it out.
That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
I didn't ask, but how is that process? Like, who is it? Just I mean, a lot of the music sounds like you're just getting together and jamming the fuck out. Like,
But
is that
some of
really,
it seems a little more
But
riff
yeah,
based.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's the process? Or,
So I mean, Rory's like he's the ideas man. He's just like a fountain of creativity. He's like outputting stuff
Oh, shit.
all the time in various, in a number of different things. He's got his own side projects as well that he's constantly outputting.
Uh-huh.
Just
So-
pressing it out, cranking
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
So
So
I know people like that.
Backlog.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah.
How do you do what?
How did you come up with that?
Right.
So yeah, a lot of like the vast majority of initial ideas, it'll be him coming up with the stuff, and then the rest of us kind of slot in,
Just flesh it
and
out.
flesh it out, and see how it goes. And then Niall is coming to the table with his own stuff as well. So there's kind of a mix and match of stuff like that.
Right. This was the first album with you guys, right? Airs was the.
Well, Ayers was the first
Yeah,
one he wrote.
okay.
He was in the mix room for All Hail Bright Futures
Right.
because
Okay.
he was a good friend of ours, and like there was no talk of him. He hadn't joined, or there was no talk of him
Yeah,
joining the
yeah,
band
yeah.
at that point.
He was already touring though, right, with you guys, or?
No, the album got recorded just before we were meant to go on tour. We were touring Gangs, and he came out.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he was touring
I'm
with
getting my
Gangs.
years mixed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2011, he joined and started touring, and then September 2012. No, I'm getting really mixed up. 2012, we toured.
You toured Gangs
2011, we toured Gangs.
with him.
with
and
him.
then was like 2013 was All Hail Bright Futures,
And
right?
we'd already, that was the tail end of Gangs, and we'd just recorded All Hail before going on that tour.
But just the three of you guys.
But
Okay.
then he was in the mix room a little bit.
I didn't realize that.
So he's already sort of, involved a bit.
So this is the first one with all four, like
No,
fully
Ayers,
being
Ayers, he was in.
Ayers,
yeah.
or Ayers rather is okay. See, it's funny because you guys are talking about a new record, but I feel like Ayers is still a baby, at least to me. Like I feel like it just came out, and I'm still on it, and I haven't quite put it to the side yet for a new. Like that's an album I still put on.
You're right. That was an album I was hoping to get to talk to you guys earlier about, and so now you're coming in with new music and shit. So.
And I'm like, whoa,
hold on, we're still on.
Hold on, I didn't get to ask. I didn't get to ask about Ayers. Like, yeah, well, like for instance, the Sonny K, like, the cover.
That was incredible.
It's
the work he
so
did.
good. We've got our friend who's out of Houston. His name's Jonathan Perez. He's got a solo project named Pitter Patter. It's fantastic.
He just released an album.
Yeah, he just released his record, but his album cover. I wish I could pull it up. Could you?
I could look for it.
It's called Realms, but it's Sonny K did the cover as well, and it's very similar. Like it's not the same, but in term you can tell it's the same artist. It's in kind of the same vein. It's like a scenery, a kind of surreal, colorful scenery. What made you go with that guy, man? I mean, I know he's kind of an obvious choice in a lot of ways because he's tremendous.
Yeah.
But
Well, Sonny has a good relationship with Kathy.
of course, yeah.
Kathy Bello from Sargent House, and
Shout out to Kathy, man.
Yeah,
Kathy's
okay.
been on before. We love her so much. She's amazing.
So basically,
See, that's
oh right, yeah.
This is his
I'm just
cover.
looking at the Realms one now.
So this is Pitter Patter's cover, Realms. It
That looks pretty Irish, actually.
Yeah,
like the landscape.
it might be.
Those cliffs.
And it's long. It's a full like there's actually
right, it's
50.
like a double-
It's like y'all's. It's
Yeah.
like 50% more long.
But yeah, Kathy was just like, go with Sonny, he's amazing. So we got in touch. We sent him a mood board, like a sort of a list of ideas that we liked, and basically that cover, just with some slight color adjustments, that was the first. Basically, what you see on the album cover is pretty much one of the first or second draft, and then
It didn't take long.
Then we nailed those colors down, the greens and the yellows, and then it was just like, yeah, that's it.
That's done. Yeah. It's great, man. When that record came out, I was so fucking excited. I was so fucking excited. Look, I don't want to keep you for too long, man.
No worries.
I know we want to go watch RX. I probably want to get another beer.
Yeah, we're going to see some double drum action.
Absolutely,
with
dude.
Javier and his brother.
But dude, I want to thank you for doing this.
No,
for
thanks for having me on.
being such a sweetheart. Again, if I can just, you guys are so important to me. Your drums are so important to me specifically, like as a drummer, the way that I've like developed me, because I've gotten significantly better at drums. I feel like if I can just toot my horn a little bit. In the past like 3 years is when I've really kind of come into my own as a drummer, and a lot of that time was spent listening to you and like John Clardy and John Theodore. It's like these three guys. So it's really important to me to have the opportunity to sit down and kind of pick your brain. So I really fucking appreciate it, man.
No, I'm so glad to be on.
Absolutely, man.
You guys fucking killed too. I mean,
you guys did tremendous. It was amazing. Can't wait to see you. I can't wait for the new record. Can't wait for you guys to come back. I'm assuming you guys come back after the new record.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be like around this time next year. It'll be a new record and a headline tour.
We'll fucking be there.
All being well, that's what we'll plan to do.
Awesome, man. We will be there, man. And thank you so much for doing this again, man.
No worries.
I really
Thank you so much,
appreciate
guys.
it. All right, guys, we're out of here.